Good morning, everybody. Hope you're all doing fantastically well. It's Eminem. It is, what else have we got out there? Slim Shady, whatever. Get them in the comment section below. We've had a couple of which I won't be naming on here. Sometimes it can be a little bit rude, but let's move. How are we doing this morning, everybody? It's Connor. We're back with your favorite show, The Rumour Mill. The inside source, the best source for all of your Leeds United news. What's going on? Yeah, I'm not professing to be inside of there. It's like kind of just inside what's going on at Leeds, not me being inside everything that goes on. No, people take that the wrong way. But what's going on? Make sure you like, comment, and subscribe. Over here, you can put your camera phones on here, and it's a QR code, everybody. QR code to my second channel. On my second channel, we will be doing watch-alongs for other clubs and all that sort of stuff. We've got Burnley, Sunderland coming on Friday night. If you guys are interested in that, I will not be doing a Sheffield Wednesday watch-along this Sunday because I am actually going to the game. Shout out Leeds United Calypso. I will be going down to the game, and I'm really, really excited. I remember the last Sheffield Wednesday game I went to 1-0 Jack Harrison, which I think put Leeds top at the time, or maybe second place it was because Norwich were top under Daniel Farker. What is going on? Freddie Prinze Jr. in the building. Eminem lookalike. Yeah, go on, get it in. Oi, Bab. Yeah, get it in. Get it in. Come on, keep it rolling in. Talking about rolling. Rolling's in the building. Morning, Nige. Morning, Steve. How's it going, guys? How's it going? Do you think we'll sign a central attacker this window? Yeah, mate, we'll get into it. We will get into it. Don't you worry about that. So, okay, I can see you guys are craving the rumours this morning, which is good stuff. It is good stuff. If you are a first-time viewer of the Rumour Mill, guys, this isn't the confirmation mill. This isn't any of that. So it's not the consolidation mill. We're talking about all the rumours at Leeds United level. Let's get into it, shall we? Okay, so John Eustace spoke about Patrick Bamford. It was either last night or I think it's been this morning, but it is a recent update. It's really interesting that he's spoken about him. I didn't expect him to address rumours on specific players, but he spoke about Patrick Bamford, which was fascinating. And we're just going to get up here what he said. John Eustace, as mentioned, as reported by the Lancashire Telegraph, the 45-year-old Eustace didn't give too much away when being questioned about over the moves. Although Blackburn are in the market for a number 9 and a left winger come the end of the window, Eustace said Patrick is a very good player. I played with him at Derby a long time ago when he started out. He's a consistent performer at this level. He plays for a huge club in Leeds. But there are lots of names thrown towards me, and I'll just say they're good players. You have to ask the club. He's a player on a long list that we have looked at. And we'll have to see. So, that was... I read that this morning, and I was like, okay. Now... no smoke without fire when it comes to it. Lancashire Telegraph are very good on their end when it comes to some of their reporting. Alex Scott is someone who I used to work with at Reach, and he's a good reporter. I think he's gone to work with the Lancashire Telegraph, and they're very reputable down there. There's a lot of word in there, of which is quite exciting, I feel. Let's go through this again. Okay, he's a very good player. I played with him at Derby a long time ago when he started. He was a consistent form at this level. He plays for a huge club in Leeds, but there are lots of names thrown at him. Look, there will be a lot of names thrown at him. Bamford is available. Leeds are looking to move him on. We know this for a fact. I don't know how they would get that done, but it's interesting that Blackburn will know the contract that he's on. Every agent, every club in the division will know the contract he's on. What I find interesting about that is they're still talking about him. They've still put him on a long list. They'll probably ask Leeds about him. Now, if he wasn't freaking injured, this guy, man, if he wasn't injured, and if he was still coming on in 10 for 10, 15 minutes, and that stock was rising just in terms of appearances, and he's still, at that level for Leeds in terms of him coming on in the Championship, potentially affecting games, which we all know he doesn't, but still. He's also mentioned he's a consistent performer at this level, which we all know he's not, but he mentioned that he's a good player, but he's a long list of players that they've looked at. I think this is really positive. If he can somehow get back in January and shows a little bit of consistency, Leeds, bring him on. I don't care, just bring him on. Because I've always moaned about Bamford coming on because I don't think he's good enough. I mean, he's had one good season at Leeds. That's my personal opinion, and I think he's massively overhyped by the fan base. But I understand it. I get it. But Bamford, for me, if he gets one good week in, and let's say Leeds have a couple of games or whatever, you do wonder if Blackburn starts to panic a little bit towards the back end of the window when they need a number 9. Bamford would be available on loan. Hopefully, Leeds and Blackburn can come to some agreement where Blackburn are actually contributing to his wage structure. And then with Bamford and with Gelhardt both gone, we can maybe start talking about a young number 9 coming in. You know, we mentioned in the summer like a Daniel Jebison, 19 years of age, needing minutes, all this sort of stuff. He made his move, but someone of that ilk who understands the remit at Leeds United, where there's 2 in front of him, probably. The likelihood is Leeds aren't going to go out and get a latte latha. I mean, you know, we kiboshed that last week from an opinion standpoint of Leeds. That's just never going to happen, in my opinion. Still rumours about him as well, everybody. But I mean, I've never seen my club do business like that in a January window in the Championship. It's just never happened. Rutter was I thought it was a bit of a panic buy. It was an unbelievable buy, but I think Leeds were panicking at that moment in time. And we all knew that, you know, Rutter shouldn't have been bought in the January window. And I think he suffered from it. But yeah, I do wonder if you can get a bit of minutes in. Stock can rise a little bit. I think, oh my God, if we could sell him this window. I mean, I don't think they're going to sell him. They're not going to sell him, but imagine we just are able to move him on. Unbelievable. Angus Kinnear to Old Athletics as Thunder Lips. Consistency, says Tracy. That's a debate. What is John smoking? Morning, Connor, says Mark. Another hair colour change. Hope you're good, brother. I'd pay for Bamford to depart as long as we upgrade massively. You too, Mark. Cheers for that, buddy. Eustace and Useless. Perfect combination, says Bob. There's no way Blackburn will strike a deal on his wages. Yeah, that's kind of where I'm at with it, mate. That's kind of where I'm at with Bamford. It's just, you know, he's on 40 grand a week. You reduced that wage when he came down from the Championship from 72 grand a week. So he's on 40 grand a week. I'm just thinking if they can get him on loan until the end of the season, contribute to his wage structure, and then we can at least have a conversation about a number 9. There's no point in having a conversation about a number 9 now because it's not happening. No rumours about Joseph leaving. No rumours about Peru leaving. It's just never going to happen in a month of Sundays. Bamford moves on and Gelhardt's moved on. We can have a conversation there a little bit. You know, we can at least have a realistic chat about what's going to be happening there. Read an article on the Spurs side of things this morning about Solomon. Yeah, we'll get into that in just a second, mate. LUFC Passion says, hi, Connor, birthday today. Watching you makes it all about LUFC Passion. Shout out to you, mate. Happy birthday to you. Everybody get happy birthday to LUFC Passion in the chat. Okay. Let's get on to the second discussion point today, everybody, shall we? Central attacking midfielder moves on. So this morning, I mean, look, it's not massive news, but it's in the ether this morning. James Mckay, it's done. It's apparently he's looking at Dortmund. That's getting ever closer. Leverkusen are in the mix. I've still got people direct messaging me on Instagram in particular, asking if there's a chance for us to go and get Mckay. I think it probably boils back down to what we were talking about last night, everybody, in terms of with Brownie. I thought Brownie was so good on the show last night. For me, it was one of his best performances on the show, like debrief and when me and him have just been doing his shows. I thought he made some really good points and he was quality last night, Brownie. Not that he always isn't, but he was talking and me and Oscar were listening, which normally doesn't happen. So he was saying we're having a chat about it, and it is the logistic side of Leeds. Take away your wants, even take away your needs, really. For what Leeds are looking at in terms of squad composition. What do you think Leeds are realistically going to do? James Mckay, we spoke about him at the start of the month. It'd have been unbelievable signing. Would I take James Mckay? Of course I would. I'd take 6 other players right now. I would. 6 top players right now. It would be amazing. Question is then, can Daniel Farke fit them into his side? What does he do with them? Connor Roberts, etc. Jed Spence, etc. Jaden Anthony, etc. You've then got to ask yourself the question, squad makeup wise, how does this work going forward? Are these players going to come in and maybe disrupt the squad harmony? The top of the division right now, they've got a very good bond. This squad has been recruited and made not just on quality, but personnel. This is a big thing that Kinnear's spoken about before. The personnel that come in is absolutely massive. People coming in can be good footballers, but it's a lot about the person as well. And I think that's massive for a changing room. You've seen that with Gilavogi coming in and making a massive impact in terms of the person he clearly is and raising that. So it's more now about realism. And you can see in this list when we're talking about James Mckay, is James Mckay going to ever come to Leeds United when Daniel Farke puts Brendan Aronson in that number 10 and has barely rested him throughout this campaign? It's never going to happen. It is never, ever going to happen. So take your wants out of it. Let's just look logistically. Let's have a proper conversation, and let's have an actual this discussion about how this will feasibly work out. So I think if your Patrick Bamford is to leave, I think Leeds will then look for a young recruit. That's what I think would happen potentially if Bamford and Gelhardt to move on. But then you look at, I think Bamford's a good one because I think you look at last season and Farke involved him. Yeah, Farke involved him because he wasn't convinced on Peru at that point, even though Peru had scored a fair few goals at that stage in December, January. And there's always the conversation for me with Peru. I know it was Farke signing, but still with Joseph starting games, I'm a little bit like, is Farke completely sure on him? I'm not sure he is because Teemu Pukki was the complete centre forward. And I think that's what he's trying to find with Joseph and Peru. You almost need to merge them to get some of the qualities of Teemu Pukki in the Championship. But Bamford was playing. So I do think if Bamford is to move on, Leeds would maybe look at something, I think. But then you've got to look at what Leeds will be looking long term. And I think that's the right way of doing it. It feels like the business right now with Leeds, and that is illustrated by the business that we've done in summer, is really smart. It's logistical. It's long term. I think if Leeds are to go and put a replacement in for Pat Bamford, it makes a lot of sense to look for the future. Look for a young, hungry player who can acclimatise to the Premier League. And they're going to be hard to find. It's not my duty as a fan and a content creator to find that player. But I think that's what Leeds may look at. And I think they'll have a list of players to look at if Patrick Bamford goes. I think if Joe Gelhardt has gone, obviously, I'm not sure if it's been confirmed yet with Hull City, like signed, sealed, and delivered him there with the shirt. I don't think it has. But that's pretty much done. Gelhardt was never getting minutes, ever. So us having to replace Gelhardt for me isn't a necessity because he's not getting on the pitch. Bamford, on the other hand, I do think Farke sees him as an option. I think he sees him as a viable option. We saw that last season. I think this season when he's come on, you look at the Blackburn game when he came on for 35 minutes, I think he genuinely sees him as an option in this Leeds United side. So I think Leeds might look at replacing him on that point. Let me know what you think on that, everybody, in the comment section below as well. Because I'm interested to hear what you guys say. Surely Connor, with Joffrey going, we should be getting another tacker in. Buendia in for me, letting on. So yeah, Mark, it's never happening, mate. Not in a month of Sundays. Mebs, I don't think that would happen, mate. Just basically because Joffrey's not getting any minutes, and you don't just replace because someone's gone out. You know, a lot of windows, and this was important with Leeds last window as well. A lot of outgoings are really important for the financial side of Leeds United, for players who aren't getting minutes, and maybe they're a little bit upset about that, which I'm sure Joe Gelhardt will be right now. So a lot of it is actually getting rid of players as well. But Joe Gelhardt never plays for Leeds. So Joe Gelhardt going, Charlie Crew going, they're not really options. So do you really need to replace these sorts of players? I don't think you do. Crew going, Gelhardt going, I don't think you need to replace them. Okay? I think we're still stacked and these players aren't getting minutes. Now, when it comes to Leeds letting Pat Bamford go, now we can have a discussion about whether or not he should be playing for Leeds United, but he's a 31-year-old who's played in the Premier League and he's an option for Leeds United as the third striker. Farke has spoken very glowingly about him even when he was at Norwich. And Bielsa was at Leeds. He likes Patrick Bamford. I think if Bamford was fit a lot, I think we'd see him feature a lot more. So Bamford leaving, I think there's a conversation right there about Leeds replacing him. I think the target is really interesting because I think Leeds will have to look long-term. I don't think that the player that we will get in will disrupt Joseph and Peru's minutes this season, but I do genuinely believe Leeds will look young. And when they look young, I think they're looking at long-term in the Premier League and looking at maybe someone with a potential sell-on clause or some sell-on capacity, I should say, or someone who would just work in the Premier League. I think that's what we will do. I don't think there's a possibility that Leeds will look for a top number 9. I don't think that will happen for me. Okay, let's get on to the next bit of discussion today, everybody, shall we? This guy, Barley Mumber at Plymouth Argyle. Now, this is interesting. Now, massive fan of Barley Mumber, have to say. I think maybe people are a little bit confused as to where he plays and where he's played for the majority of his career, which is right back. He's played in central midfield as well, defensive midfield. Can he play at left back? Yeah, of course he can, but we don't really want that scenario again, in my opinion, in terms of square pegs, round holes. But apparently Leeds United are looking at considering signing an upgrade on Sam Byram when it comes to him. Is he an upgrade on Sam Byram? I don't know, you know. I don't know. Really good signing for Plymouth. He's rapid. Very exciting. Was a problem against us. Him and Ashley Phillips last season, I thought they were good. I don't know on this one. Premier League potential, maybe. but I'm not sure. Leeds have apparently sent scouts to look at him, but I'm not sure for me this one is one that I'd be looking at, I have to say. But I could be wrong on that in terms of if he comes to Leeds and starts lighting it up. But he's a right back by trade. I think Bogle sorted that side up. I think Schmidt is a really good option on that right-hand side, as we've seen. Byram's there. Will Byram get another deal in the Premier League? I think there's genuinely potential for that with the manager who's in charge and the performances he's put in and how much that'll cost. I don't think this one's a goer, everyone. I really don't. I don't think Barley Mumber. I think from a personal standpoint, it might be good. I think Leeds will be able to chop him up for around about 4 to 5 million quid. But I don't know if he's ready yet. I think it's a big step up. It's a big, big step up. We have Bogle, right back, and Schmidt. Morning contest, Steve. I still maintain that whoever and whenever we bring in a striker, there has to be an element of growth and jump for Prem. I completely agree with you, mate. Completely agree. So, yeah, I'm not 100% sure on that one, everybody. I'd hold fire on that. Louis Barry apparently is on his way to Celtic. Another one. Will he get minutes at Leeds United if he comes in? Look, if Patrick Bamford's going there, we know Louis Barry can play as a centre forward. He can play off the left. He can play off the right. He can play central attacking midfield. He's a bit of a Swiss Army knife, as I've mentioned, with several players up top. Keep an eye on that one if Leeds were to lose Bamford and maybe go for Louis Barry. Highly doubt it, though. And then we're going to move on to our little winger. Okay. Manor Solomon. Okay, with Archie Gray going to Tottenham Hotspur, that wasn't the only transfer business the two clubs did last summer. Manor Solomon joining the Whites on a season-long loan from Tottenham. The forward has already been mooted to make this move permanent for 10 million quid. Shout out to Phil in our WhatsApp group, the Patreon WhatsApp group, which you can join below, everybody, if you join the Patreon. Well worth it. However, Lily White Rose owner John Wenham, speaking exclusively, the Tottenham News has suggested that instead of the Whites paying this 10 million in cash, they could offer Spurs a discount on Gray. Now, this is interesting because Leeds have got 3 separate installments for Archie Gray. 10 million, 10 million, 10 million, apparently, according to, there was an initial fee, but Leeds are still paying 3 bouts of 10 million quid. Now, according to John here, Leeds United could work out a deal with Tottenham Hotspur, and apparently this has been mooted before when it comes to Manor Solomon signing a deal for Leeds United in the future. 10 million quid, then they sort of write off that last fee for Archie Gray in terms of installments. So effectively, when we're looking at the fee that Archie Gray went for, he would go for 10 million less. We would include the Manor Solomon deal in that, and Leeds wouldn't really have to outwardly pay 10 million quid. You just wipe it off the installment structure of Tottenham Hotspur's deal with Leeds United for Archie Gray. Can this happen? Who knows? Potentially. I don't know how that would work with the intricacies of the deal, but I do look at that and think, would he be an option? Would he be an option for Leeds United in the Premier League? I still think, have to say, I want to see that consistency for a period of time till the end of the season. With how good Manor Solomon's playing now, we have to wait and see. As a fan base, we do get very excited when it comes to players, and they put in a lot of performances and a set of performances, and maybe we get a little bit too giddy. I do look at Solomon and I think, look, if he can stay injury free, if he can prove that, if he can keep Largi Ramazani out of the side, and he can contribute even more with goals and assists, and we're turning around and saying, well, Ramazani can't get in because Manor Solomon's been that good. Like, that's when you look at it. I think that's when you look at it. Now, I wouldn't like Leeds to sign some sort of agreement with Tottenham Hotspur about this. I'm not sure I'd want Leeds to move on that right yet. I think Manor Solomon still has time to prove himself with the club. And 10 million quid for us right now to, going up to the Premier League. I think that's a big, big agreement. Look, he's proven it in stages for Fulham and Tottenham barely in the Premier League. He's almost like a fresh Premier League player when he goes up there, really. And the good thing right now with Manor Solomon is apparently his last surgery on his meniscus was successful. So far, touch wood, we've seen that with him at Leeds United, which has been good. He's not been out for too long a period of time, but he has been out. We've seen that, but it was another injury. It was a hamstring injury. Can he avoid injury? Can he be playing for Leeds United week in, week out? And can he be contributing to a really, really high level? Jury's out, of course. 10 million for Solomon is decent. Any more is too much. Right now, I agree with Chris. I think 10 million right now with Solomon playing like he's playing, injury-free. So right now, anyway, 10 million is not too bad. you know. But I'd like to see, I need to see more numbers. I need to see more numbers. I need to see X factor and pure reliance on Manor Solomon for some of the big games. Pure reliance. He's been very good recently. I want him to step up even further. Jan window is for panic buys and recruitment. We are not in that territory where we need to do anything from a new keeper, which won't happen. David, completely agree. As I say, facts. These are facts. The goalkeeper has been culpable for, I'd say, 6 points minimum. We have those 6 points back. Leeds are not even talking about a 10. We're not even talking about a 9. We're not talking about centre-backs. We're not talking about anything. So I completely agree, mate. I completely agree. Change the goalkeeper, and we're all right. That's fine. I agree. Completely agree. Solomon's the best player at Ellen Road by far, Premiership ready. Mike says true. Should see if they'll take Bamford offers, and we'll throw 3 million in. Stein should be number 1 over Solomon. Not aware of him, mate. Not aware of him. Any dealing, including Gray, is difficult to appreciate, though. Would love Solomon to stay. He's a steal for 10 mil. This could be something as well, which is interesting when we're talking about Solomon coming to Leeds. Roland says, Joe Roland came to us and we paid for him as well as Archie, not including the Archie deal. Selling equals income. Swapping affects the income. I can't see the 49ers swapping. 100% with the money that was coming in as well. Greg says, Joe Whitworth and a striker would be nice. Yes, Greg. Good lad. Yeah, but that's what I'm talking about when it comes to a goalkeeper. I'm really, really enthused with the option of maybe just putting Carl in and Carl been okay. I'm bored of saying it, but it's true. Just put Carl in and I'm sure it'll be fine. Realistically, we don't need anything this window. Everything we need is in our squad already. We just need to get promoted and buy proven Prem players. I agree, man. And let's not go on about this until because we're bored of it, aren't we? We've spoken about on the debrief. But I agree. I'm calm. I am calm. I was calm throughout a lot of the summer. Towards the end, I was getting a little bit nervous with Tanaka and Ramazani coming in a little bit later on and them leaving it right till the end. And I was getting a bit twitchy. But throughout, I was very much in the summer camp of back in the 49ers. You guys remember that? You know, you guys all remember that 3-4 month period. I was very much like, you know, they'll be all right. We'll be fine. You know, patience is a virtue. And I thought they were really proactive. And I thought they had a really, really good summer. As I keep saying, the smallest squad, one of the smallest squads in the division, but one of the deepest squads, which means very good recruitment. And has been a staple for some of the top sides in European football over the past 5 years. Small squad, but depth in quality. So, yeah, very happy with it at the minute, I have to say. Speaking to Brownie off air last night and Oscar, we're all in a really sort of mellow state with it. January has always been a tricky window for every single club. Going out and buying 3, 4, 5 players for me is just throwing excuses at Farker to not be able to do it with this current squad. It's got nothing to do with wanting Farker in or Farker out. But I think a lot of it is you have to give him absolutely everything. You have to give him all the artillery in the world, not looking at the long-term projection of the football club, just looking at it in the here and now. Because long-term projection of the football club, January business is problematic. Clubs don't want to sell. There are inflated fees. The summer window, as Angus Kinnear said, of the past 1 or 2 seasons is the place where you do your recruitment. And if you're fine and if you're steady and if you're well balanced in the summer, you do good business in the summer, that should set you up for the season. And I think Angus was completely correct when he was saying that. I don't agree with everything he said, but I think he's right. If you get that summer recruitment bang on and you don't have to dip into the winter market, you've done a really, really good job recruitment-wise. And that's something maybe we don't focus on a lot. But as I've said, you look at all the options, I think probably the only position that we're not depth-wise, efficient in depth, it took me a while, is maybe the goalkeeper. Leeds went out and did another goalkeeper. I'd be over the moon. I would, of course, because I don't think Elan Mele is going to be displaced right now. I don't think Daniel Farker sees Carl Darlow as a replacement for him. I think Farker and his staff rate Elan Mele highly. But if he was to go and get out another goalkeeper, that would be a 10 out of 10 window for me. 10 out of 10 window, because I think that's all we need. However, if Carl Darlow is to come between the sticks, I don't think it'll be a problem. I don't think he's a world beater. I never have thought he was a world beater, but he's never been mistake ridden. So he's fine. Stick him in. Illan Mele's confidence will hopefully be built up by this as well. You know, you can get him doing extra sessions in training. He's not absolutely immovable, which right now he is. He's got no competition. You've got one of the worst keepers, probably top 10, bottom 10% keepers in the championship, who's very lucky. He's got a good defensive midfield ahead of him who control possession and the narrative and the tempo. He's very lucky at that, because I think if he was in a bottom half championship side, there's a conversation that he's bottom 3 goalkeepers in the division. So you get him out, which he's not really been out at all, aside from a 4-game spell under Sam Allardyce. So right now his head will be, don't get me wrong, the confidence might be hurt a little bit, but he is immovable, completely immovable. So if he's immovable, there's no competition there. And competition breeds success. It breeds momentum. So you've got a goalkeeper who has no competition, is bereft of confidence at the minute, and is one of the lower keepers in this division when it comes to form. So you have to take him out. You take him out. He comes back in at some stage. Maybe you manage that well. We've all praised Daniel Farke's man management. You've got to man manage that goalkeeper now. He's in the fire. If he makes one mistake against Sheffield Wednesday, I genuinely think it's going to get very toxic. Very toxic when it comes to Illan Mele. I think this was probably started by when Carl Darlow came out the other night against Harrogate. He caught a ball and they all started cheering, which is quite funny in a sense. But that's where we're at with Illan Mele. I actually said it on the watch along. I said, oh my God, he's caught a ball. My God, he's caught a ball. Because that's where we're at right now. And when you as a fan are absolutely shitting yourself when an opposition team has a corner and you're top of the division, you've scored the most goals, you've got the best team in the division, there's something wrong there. There's an anomaly. There's an outlier. He is the problem right now. But the captain of the ship is the bigger problem because he's not taking him out. So I think signing 3 or 4 players right now is an excuse, in my opinion, for Daniel Farke not to get promoted with this squad right now, which has depth. Do I believe Daniel Farke can get the most out of this squad? Right now, he's doing it. We're top of the table. We've scored 48 goals with Joseph not been good enough and Peru been in and out. We've not had our central midfielder starting the season, the idyllic partnership that the manager wants. We've had 2 more that have come in. We've had centre-backs going out injured as well. We've had right-backs going out injured. We've had left-backs going out injured. We've had wingers going out injured. But we're still top when the goalkeeper has cost us probably around 9 points. So this just doesn't add up for me. It doesn't add up. So the blame right now needs to go, for me, solely on the manager if Illan Mele makes another mistake, because the change there is obvious. If Carl Darlow would have come in the other day and made howler after howler and looked shaky, he doesn't look amazing, but he looks better than him. And we all know that. And why does he look better than him? He caught the ball. When he came out and made that punch when March went behind Gilavoggi, he was off his line extremely quickly. I like that. He was brave. So those little 4 instances show to me that he's already better than Illan Mele, because I genuinely believe if Illan Mele would have come out for that one, which he punched off March, he'd have missed the ball and got March, and probably Harrogate would have got a penalty. Genuinely, that's what I believe. And maybe Mele would have got a red card, because it's a pattern, it's a trend. So right now, I think Leeds are in a good position. I'm chilled. They go out and get a goalkeeper. Cool. Go out and get a goalkeeper. Cool. But I am not having more, and like, I'm not having a level of which we have then 26, 27 players. And Daniel Farke then has to keep all these players happy. If anything, it's probably more of a problem for the manager. He's got to keep all of these players happy. He had a small squad at Norwich. You replicate that blueprint. You replicate it. Of course you do. So if he trusts Illan Mele, that's him. None of us do. But giving him 3, 4 other players is not going to, it's essentially saying, because he's going to keep him in net, which is Daniel Farke's decision, we then have to outscore the opposition by even more. No, do the simple thing. Take the goalkeeper out. But now it's strange how the focus has changed. It's moved away from Illan Mele. It's completely moved. It's gone on the cam, the number 9, an 8 I heard the other day. No, the 8 I heard last night on a stream. A defender. So we're now looking at some fans genuinely who want 4 or 5 players in this window. Are they going to get minutes? Nope. What caliber are they going to have to be coming in? Well, they're going to have to be at a very, very low caliber because they're not going to get a lot of minutes. Are they going to come in on loan? Because we've got 2 or 3 loan spots available. oh, we're going to spend big money on them. Or what the 49ers doing is Leeds right now are maybe saving the cash for the summer months in the Premier League. Are they maybe long-term thinking because of their good recruitment in the summer, which has put Leeds at a level where we're top of the division, scored the most goals. We've had a massive amount of injuries and are still top of the table. We've got a good run coming up. After Sheffield United, I look at our run with our last, 11, 12 games, and I think, not bad. I think we've got the easiest 5 last games out of all of the top 6. So if Leeds are in contention at that point, if we put a run together, I think we're in dreamland. We never have easy games at the back end of the season. A la last season, Sunderland, Blackburn, Southampton. This season, with the greatest of respect, we've got Bristol City, we've got Preston, we've got Plymouth, we've got Oxford. There are no excuses. And bringing in, for me, 4 or 5 players means that maybe you don't trust the manager to get the most out of the current squad, or potentially he has to have all of this, all of the artillery to compensate for him not taking Elan Mele out, who is the biggest anomaly here, and we all know it. So really interested to hear what you guys have to say on this one. Let me know in the comment section below. Really interesting. Dan says we need to go to teams like Forest, Brighton, and Bournemouth, who are costing in the Premiership. And yes, I completely agree with Dan. I think you're spot on, mate. I think you're spot on. Congratulate Oscar for me, please. Last night you did. I will do, Bob. I will. I'll let him know, buddy. 149ers fan channel is back. Yeah, I just don't need to. I think when we're talking about, and I can bet you'd have said it, and everyone has said it, was having the most balanced squad, the best squad, the most quality 4 weeks ago. Suddenly the narratives change. Strange. Suddenly they need 5, 6 players. Bizarre. Steele, Doig, Barry, Ferguson, and Farker can't keep us down. Done. If Joffy and crew are going, doesn't that mean we have enough play for wages for new players? We don't need to replace crew in midfield, so you can use that money for another position. Yeah, Tanya, potentially. And as I've said, I will take a goalkeeper. I'll take a goalkeeper. As I said, I'll take a lot of the other positions, but there'll be long-term planning here. They'll be thinking of the Premier League and actually utilising a lot of that money as extra expenditure to the parachute payments that they'll get, the first instalment, in my opinion, in the summer. I think that's smart thinking. Leeds are going to have to do a hell of a lot in the summer. Now, you do look at what Ipswich did, maybe in January with the likes of Sarmiento. They brought in the striker, didn't they, from Oxford United? Some of you guys will tell me in the chat. And they brought in some players. Lewis Travis came in, I think, didn't he? And they were really decent buys, but Ipswich needed to plump up that squad. The depth wasn't there. That was really good recruitment. The whole point is here, we've got depth. The crowd are 80% happy, clapper, Farkasexuals. They won't boo Melier. The thing is, Connor, if the league was like last season, we wouldn't be where we are now. That's true, mate. That's true. But we can all only do what we can do. Reisel says we have one decent striker. We have number 10. We have a left back who is off a couple of months and who isn't a left back, not good enough. Reisel, where are we in the Prem? Where are we in the Championship, mate? Where are we in the Championship? How many goals have we scored? And we've got 40% of the season left. We've already played 60% of it. I get the thinking. I understand the thinking. But it's panicky for me. And I think this has been enforced home by what other teams are doing and what other teams are rumoured in. Sheffield United, Cannon, Chowdhury, Ben Brereton Diaz, Burnley have brought in, apparently looking at John Joe Shelby. They brought in Morgan Whittaker, who will be our 5th winger. Would you like competition for Aronson? I can understand that, Pat. I don't necessarily think that Farker obviously wants one. The thing is, and maybe it works both ways, but with me giving this rhetoric, and if it doesn't align with what people think, people get really upset by it. But this is just how I feel about it. I think it's excuses, to be honest, for the manager. I think the manager's got a good enough team, and he's doing well because we're top of the table and we've scored the most goals. But for me, competition for a number 10, I've said this multiple times. Don't get blown down the road, and I keep saying this, of thinking a winger cannot play in the number 10. Aronson started out wide. I'm not saying he's a winger, but he started out wide. Has acclimatised that number 10 position well this season. Rutter started out wide. Has acclimatised to that number 10 position quite well. Pablo Hernandez started out wide. Has acclimatised into that number 10 position, or did acclimatise into that number 10 position quite well. Rutter is now playing as a forward at points with Danny Welbeck for Brighton. You can acclimatise to other positions. An interchangeable 3 in behind a striker. We don't have to call one of those players a number 10 because they weren't the other night. Solomon would be in the 10, then he'd go out wide. He'd interchange with Ramazani, who would then come in the number 10. Nonso, not as much, but Ramazani and Solomon were interchanging. And we got behind their midfield a hell of a lot. Hell of a lot. Harrogate defended exceptionally well. As I say, one of the best teams to come to Elland Road this season when it comes to a defensive structure. Credit them. Credit them for that. Because they were better than a hell of a lot of championship sides that came to Elland Road, or have come to Elland Road this season and last season. That's on Harrogate. They put in an unbelievable performance for their level. Speaking to a lad the other night, you guys might live in Harrogate, you might have Harrogate Town fans. Spoke to him after the game, said it's their best performance of the season. And he was so proud. He said defensively, we looked unbelievable in that game. And he's not seen a defensive structure like that from Harrogate Town throughout this season. So they just had a very, very good game. Yeah. Leeds were probably in second gear. But the interchangeable front 3 or 3 in behind the striker, from a tactical perspective, there isn't an out-and-out number 10 there, right? They're not out-and-out number 10s. But when Solomon's going on the left and then he's going into the 10, when Ramazan is going out left and cutting into the 10, that is unpredictability. You don't know what's going to happen. With Aronson consistently in the number 10, that's predictable, right? So how I see it right now is with the unpredictability and the interchanging of the 3 in behind a Joel Peru, a Matteo Joseph. I think consistently, when the partnerships start to grow between those, I think if that is to happen 3 or 4 times for the next 40% of the season, because apparently Aronson's going to be injured for the next 12 games, 13 games. If Aronson continues what he's doing right now, I'm not his massive fan, but if he replicates what he's doing right now, he's going to get 15 goals. He's going to get 6, 7 assists. So he's going to shut people like me up. I've mentioned and got criticised a hell of a lot for my idyllic front 4. My idyllic front 4 is just what I want to see. It's just because I like that picture of players. That's it. It doesn't mean it's the right way. It's just what I prefer watching. I prefer watching small, diminutive, interchangeable players in behind a striker. And I prefer a little bit of a bigger front man, an athletic and physical front man who's a bit sharper, dynamic and quicker. That's it. It's just what I prefer. It doesn't mean it's right, you know? And Aronson's proven that. So if you keep Aronson fit, which apparently he's going to get injured. I don't know where this is coming from. Once again, it's panic, it's hysteria. If you keep Aronson fit, which it kind of shows that he will remain fit. He's been fit for the majority of the season. But if he's not, you have an interchangeable 3 that can work, can invert, can go on the outside in behind the striker. That might even aid the likes of Joel Peru, Matteo Joseph. The 3 that invert can almost act as number 10s, can interchange on the right, the left, either way, and then you can get the wingers bombing on forward. You keep Firpo fit, you keep Bogle fit, they act as wingers anyway. If that's to happen for 3 or 4 games, is that a problem? I'm trying to speak logistically right now. I'm trying to speak about the tactical side of it. What I'd say is don't just come back and say, they're shit, knobheads, chancing it. Like, is that bad? Would that be that bad for a series of games? That is a massive risk. Why? Tell me why it's a massive risk. Speak to me about why that is a risk. I'm leaning towards saving the money for summer. It's the same every transfer window. We all go Skitzer. Dan says, we need 4 players just to GK. We don't need 4 players just to GK. Defo thinks Solomon could make a worldie in the number 10 with his jinking, taking on players. Harrogate were brilliant, plus their shirt is beautiful. It's nice, mate, isn't it? It's nice. Aronson will fall at the end of the season due to being overplayed. It's Farkas, in my opinion. Again, what's with the new striker needed? We are top of the championship and have got better players. If Aronson does go, it should be Solomon in the 10, Ramazani on the left, and James on the right. And I think this is what we were saying last night. And it's not just me, everybody. It's not me. It's Oscar. It's Oscar. It's Brownie as well. We're in a really good position. It's toxic at the minute. maybe not toxic, toxic, maybe that's a bit heavy, but it's combative. It's confrontational. And I think it all comes back to this whole narrative of you wanting Farker in or Farker out, which is madness. I don't think we should be talking about that now. He's top of the division. But there's more logic to be added to this. You know, I can see Chris King in the chat. I know Chris is a big Farker outer. Look, I know there's huge Farker ins here as well. But the logic applied to this is he's top of the division. We've scored the most goals. We've had injuries throughout. We've had a rotated midfield who've done excellently well. We've had centre-backs out. We've managed to fill that in. If Rodon was to go out at right centre-back, we've got Ampadu who can fill in there. And now we know that we can put Tanaka and Rothwell in the midfield and they can dominate teams like Norwich, Sunderland, Sheffield United. All very, very quick examples when Norwich were doing actually really well. They were sort of 8th, I think, at that moment. And those 3 teams in particular, you saw that rotated midfield come in, albeit it being structured in the 49th minute of the Norwich game, and they dominated it. You've got Gruev coming back. You've got Gila Vorgi. We don't want a centre-back, but he was recruited for a centre midfield option. In the number 10, I think you've got interchangeable players who can go there, and I like that. I like what I saw the other night. I keep mentioning this, but the thing is, I've said this before, and I've attributed it to Joseph. If you're not scoring goals, if you're not creating 15 chances in one game, then it's like, chuck the baby out the bathwater. I don't look at it like that. I try look at it long term. And when these 3 grow partnerships, if let's say Aronson was out and Solomon was in the 10, what do I want from a number 10? I want a diminutive number 10. I've always been a bit like that. Maybe it's the Pablo Hernandez effect. I want to play with good balance. I want a player who has got a good acceleration, good agility over 5 yards. I want a player who can strike a ball. And I want a player who's got a good weight of pass. Those 5 things really are all that I look for. I think Solomon's got that. I think Ramazani's got that. And the only reason I don't mention Nonto in there is because I think Nonto will always be a wide right option. And by the way, I'm not discounting Dan James at all. Dan James can feature in this. But I'm just talking about those 3 interchanging in behind the striker. I think they'd work really, really nicely. Do you remember where for a brief period we saw Samu Saiz and Pablo Hernandez? Do you remember? Back in the day. Both technically gifted footballers. Samu, I loved Samu Saiz, even though he did what he did. But those 2 used to interchange. And it was wonderful to see. And I'm not putting some of our 10s in the same bracket. Of course, they're different players. Ramazan is very different to Pablo Hernandez. Samu Saiz is different to Solomon. But they share attributes. They share tendencies. They share similar vibes on the pitch. And I don't think interchanging is a bad thing. I think actually not having a number 10 is actually pretty cool. I think if you have Ramazani going one side and then Solomon going the other side and the back line not really being able to predict what's going on with the number 10, who am I marking? Who am I picking up? Does a defensive midfielder need to come back and pick up X, Y, and Z? It causes a little bit of chaos, and I don't mind that. And would that aid the striker a little bit of a difference there? Brendan Aronson isn't this worldy number 10. He's done really well this season, but there's an argument he's actually not a number 10. There's an argument he's a number 8. There's an argument from the US side, but a lot of people DM me that he's a left-sided attacking midfielder, if that makes sense. You know, 4-2-3-1, he's an LAM, not a CAM. Okay, he's not wide left, but an LAM, a left attacking midfielder. So, yeah, and as I've said, everybody, Rutter moved on. Aronson went into the number 10. People were having kittens about Aronson in the number 10 at the start of the season. He's had a good season. And they were having kittens at the start of the season. William Yonso, in my opinion, is better off the left. His second position is then his central attacking midfield. I think his least effective position is the position that he plays in for Leeds United, which is out at wide right. That's how I feel. Okay. Now, I think there's a lot of stuff with what Bob's saying here. Connor, appreciate you're the chairman of the JDL. But if Peru gets injured, we're in trouble. We need a number 9. So how do we do that, Bob? And who do we go and get? Okay, once again, it's hypotheticals again, isn't it? It's hypotheticals again. What if Peru gets injured? What if he doesn't? What if he doesn't? And then the flip side of that is you get Joseph with a little bit of consistent minutes with Firpo and Bogle. I think from a personal standpoint, I think you'll see a better Joseph. More consistent minutes, and with wing backs who actually hit the byline and put the ball into the box, of which Joseph thrives because his perception, I think, and the interpretation is good. That's not the bad side of Joseph. The bad side right now is how rash he is in finishing. That needs to improve. I agree with all of you. That needs to improve. He needs to take a chill pill at points and not sort of rush it. Be composed. And I've said that with Brendan Aronson this season as well. It's just composure at certain moments. Joseph needs to improve that, but you cannot deny his perception and movement in the box. It's excellent. It's very, very good. Okay. And you've even seen that with Leeds in the last month or two when he's getting on the end of things. Might not be going in, but he's getting on the end of things, which just illustrates that his perception is pretty decent inside the box. So I agree 100%. But what if Peru doesn't get injured? What if that doesn't happen? You know? What if Bamford comes back in and we know Farker likes him? What if Bamford comes back in? What if we don't sell Pat Bamford and he comes back in? Because I don't think we will sell Bamford. I don't think that's going to happen. But I think then you get a scenario where it's Bamford and Joseph. And I know a lot of you will absolutely hate that. And I get that completely. Of course I do. But that is a conversation. I understand that. I understand the fact that if Peru gets injured, we're thinking, oh. But then if we can do that for everyone, can't we? What if Pascal gets injured on that left-hand side? Then what? Verba can go left centre-back. Okay. But he's not as good as Strout. What if Firpo gets injured again and we're going to have to go to Byram at left back and we're going to suffer on that left-hand side when it comes to attacking movement? We're going to put Verba in there because we can do it throughout the squad. What if Tanaka gets injured? Yes, you've got options, but they're not as good as Tanaka. What if Ampadu gets injured again? It's throughout the squad. Throughout the squad. Remy, it's the big problem for me. Big problem. Do we sign Rothwell, Connor? Yes, mate. I would be signing Joe Rothwell 100% in the Premier League. Definitely. Problem with Joseph is he doesn't even work the goalkeeper half the time. Yeah, man, I know. Look, he needs to improve his finishing. But guys, I've been waffling on for around about 50 minutes. Thank you so much. If you want a bit of bonus content, we do the Championships version of the Room Mill, which will be on my second channel. We're also on my second channel going to be doing the Burnley and Sunderland watch along. Come over if you fancy that. But I really appreciate you guys staying by this morning. Let me know on your thoughts. I'm sure you guys will do. You always do. And I really appreciate the interaction, engagement, and consistency with you lot. You're absolutely fantastic. Have a good day, and I'll see you on the other side. Cheers.